Hey everybody, what's up? It's not a message here. All right. Let's get rocking and rolling. Lynn Stewart, how are you? All the way from Houston, Texas. Good to see you. Sunshine, what's happening? All right. We could use a little bit of sunshine in Atlanta. It's been cloudy all day. All right. Where are you tuning in from, Sunshine? I'm sure you told me once before, but let us know again. All right. We're going to continue part 2 from last week. Thank you, my worthy assistant. Jeffrey, hey, that's right. Sunshine, of course, Sunshine, Florida. I get it. Okay. Palm Springs. Renee Warren in Palm Springs. You know, I was just talking to some buddies about planning a guy's trip to Palm Springs. I love Palm Springs, except in the summertime when it's unbearable. I assume, Renee, you'll be getting out of there probably, what is this, April now? What is it, like after May? In May, everybody leaves, or June or something, and comes back in the fall? Something like that. I do know that it's pretty darn hot there in summertime in the desert. Okay, few housekeeping. Listen, we are we just had a very successful, what we feel is a successful relationship conference last week in Huntsville, Alabama. If anybody is on from Huntsville, please shout us out. You know, on Tuesday night, we told everybody about the Tuesday night, so shout us out. Renee, so you live here full time, but you do try to get away, I know, right? So yeah, really successful. We even started a new Huntsville marriage group in our community. So we're excited about that, okay? Continue to tell people, continue to sign on. If you're enjoying our Tuesday nights, invite people to our Tuesday night live. And we'll let you know what else is going on. As it happens, you will know. All right, we wanted to do a part 2 to last week. Last week we talked about flashy versus wealthy and the idea of keeping up with the Joneses, whoever the Joneses are, as opposed to building something that lasts. And quite often we find that it's much easier, you know, especially in our society and our IG society and FB society and whatever other social media, TikTok, whatever other social media you're familiar with. It's very easy to just keep up with Joneses and try to keep up appearances. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, keeping up appearances, and this is part 2 from last week. If you have any questions, please let us know, and we will be more than happy. I'll be more than happy to handle those. You know, most people are performing a life and not living one. And it's easy to perform life instead of living one. And some people have been doing it for so long that you don't really even know the difference between performance and living the actual life. But I want you to know that in a marriage, when it comes to finances and such, keeping up appearances isn't just a spending habit. It's a full-time job, keeping up appearances, you know, with no real benefits, no health insurance, nothing. It's just a full-time job with no retirement plan and an audience that isn't even paying attention. So it's so important for you to understand that in your marriage, the outside observation, the outside observers are not as important as the ones on the inside actually making things happen. So let's talk about it. Answer this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want everybody to participate because I know there's a bunch of you on who are not on screen. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much energy do you spend making sure your life looks good versus actually being good? 1 being not at all, 10 being all the time. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you spend your life making sure your life looks good? I want something for you to think about as opposed to actually being good. Because I think that, I was talking to some friends recently, and it's like, it's so easy now to get caught up into the superficial that I think that society is sort of taking a turn, and people now are longing for things that are more real, things that are more powerful, things that are more relatable, as opposed to just the superficial. I remember some years ago when Tinder, Jeffrey says 3. Thank you for your honesty. Like, you really don't care that much at all about that, and that's cool. Louise says good evening all. But I remember some years ago when Tinder came up with the idea of the swipe. And it was the rage. I mean, everybody was swiping. Everybody, it was all over media, it was in TV, it was in movies, whatever. Swipe left, swipe right. Do you know now there's a body of work out there, a number of statistics, which say that people are sick and tired of swiping. I think that after a while, you can get really sick of the trends. And I think that we're on a continuum. We're starting to realize what things matter most. Wendy here says, what did you say, Wendy? I'm scared. On a scale of 1 to 10, I spend a 2 making sure my life looks good and 8 making sure it is good. Doing the work is important for me. Absolutely. And I don't want, and I thank you for that, because I don't want to deny the fact that it's important to look good. Look, we're living in a nice place because we want a nice place. We drive a decent car, but not only because we want it, but look, there's a part of me that I don't want to be seen in no, 72 Chevelle. Chevelle, 72 Chevelle is nice. But no, 72 Ford Focus, if they were making them back then. But, sure, there's a part of us that wants to be seen and want to be represented properly. But I think the biggest idea here is to make sure that most of our life is spent on doing what's good for your family. Capri says, that's where I am now. Sick of the trend. Absolutely. Yeah, Pinto. Yes, Pinto. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go on. So what does keeping up appearances actually cost? I'm with you, Jeff. The 72 Chevelle. I said that was sort of like Freudian because I'm going to get me a 72 Chevelle. Keeping up appearances, what do they actually cost? And this is something I want you to talk about in your families and in your marriage. The obvious cost for keeping up appearances is financial. See, money spent on image is money not in the investment account, not in the emergency fund, but it's money that's pretty much thrown away. So if your obvious cost is the obvious cost is financial when you're keeping up appearances. The first thing you have to consider is what is the financial cost here of making sure that we look good, having all the name brand stuff. Is it necessary to spend money on image and not invest it? Now, there's some things that you have to do, okay? I understand this. My wife certainly understands it, and she makes sure that my image is good. But I have to admit, she would dig high and low, up and down to find a bargain, okay? Because even though it's important, because we understand that branding is important and all that other stuff is important, you should make sure that the majority of your financial focus is on building something for your family and not just keeping up an appearance. Wendy, unfortunately, keeping up appearances help you as a business owner, especially in places like LA? Absolutely. So, and when we talk about building businesses together, we can't get around the fact that appearances matter. First appearances especially. Lynn says it can lead to jail time. A Real Housewives. Okay. All right, Lynn. Yes, you're absolutely right. But keeping up appearances, there is something to be said for it. Now, the less obvious cost to keeping up appearances is time. The mental energy you spend in maintaining appearances is energy that you're not pouring into your marriage. It's energy you're not pouring into your kids or into your goals. All right? And we're talking about extremes here. So the obvious cost is financial. Okay? Money spent on image is money not in your investments. It's not in your emergency fund. Okay? Money spent on the second cost is time. Okay? This is time that you spend maintaining appearances. And we're talking about people who spend all their time being in the places where wealthy people are, doing the things that wealthy people do. And a lot of that is simply wasting time because you're not getting any further in your pursuits. All right? The third cost, I see all your comments, is intimacy. You cannot be fully known by your spouse if you're performing for everyone else. You cannot be fully known by your spouse if you're performing for everyone else. The mask you wear in public eventually will come home with you. Okay. Jeffrey, at what point does keeping up appearances turn into keeping up with the Joneses? And it's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. Keeping up with the Joneses was a term from a comic strip years ago, back in the 50s, I think it was. But it's the same thing. Keeping up appearances, trying to make sure you look good. And there's nothing more disheartening than people who spend all their time making sure they look good, but they are not good people. Okay? All right. Perpetuating a fraud. You're absolutely right. So those are three costs. One is financial, one is time, one is intimacy. And lastly, keeping up appearances is not neutral. Every dollar and every hour has a destination. You're either investing in your future or you're financing your performance. Every dollar, every hour has a destination. You're either investing in your future or you're financing a performance. Let me share something with you. Every dollar you have should, what was the phrase? I can't think of it. It's like every dollar you have should have a job. Yeah, that's it. Every dollar you have should have a job. It should go out and bring you some money back. Yeah, every dollar should bring you some money back. Or at least bring you some comfort. Or at least bring you something that's valuable. As well as every hour. They should have, think of it this way, your money should have a job. Because on a job, you go out and work, you exchange time for money, and you bring back money. That money that you have, you should be exchanging money. It should be out there doing something to bring you back more money. Okay? Wendy says, driving a Benz and living in basement, is there anything wrong? Why even ask me this question? You know there's something wrong with that. Depends on the year of the Benz. Is this in the book, Capri? Well, unfortunately, not completely. We do talk a little bit about it, but not as much as we're talking here. We will be talking more, and I will be coming out with another book, and you will see more of this information in it. So yeah, definitely. Driving a Benz and living in the basement. There are a couple things to consider, Wendy, with your troublemaking self. Driving a Benz, depends how old it is, and living in the basement, or driving a Benz and living in the basement, depends on how plush it is. But no, I understand your point. If you're going to keep up appearances, at least make the money to make it worthwhile. Be able to afford it. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. Now, you can't afford the life you're pretending to have, and you're paying for it with the life you could actually build. I think that's something to seriously consider here. If you, a lot of people cannot afford the life they're pretending to have, and they're paying for their life, with something that they could actually build. They're paying for it rather with the life that you could actually build. Let's keep going here. All right, now let's look at what building a future actually looks like. Jeffrey says, this just like buying a Rolex and you on MARTA. Absolutely. I have a practice, something that we've tried to do. Whenever I had a major accomplishment, especially a major financial accomplishment, I would go and do something special for myself. But I've always been, and my wife just told me recently, I've always been just a little tentative about spending a lot of money on me, or just spending a lot of money, period. I don't like to, because I know it's hard earned, and sometimes once you lose that capital, it's gone. Okay, once you lose your capital, it's gone. But I have this practice that I'm not going to go out and just blow money, just spend a bunch of money just to look good. Now, that being said, Wendy and I, we bought a house in 2019, personal testimony. And when we bought this house, it was a fixer-upper, very decent area, very nice area actually in Atlanta suburbs called Roswell. And we bought that house in 2019. Beautiful home. With her decorating skills and what have you, we actually put a good piece of money into that house, renovating it. Now, we bought that house so far under market. Now, people would look at it and say, hey, man, that's a beautiful house. It was over 7,000 square feet, about 7,200 square feet, actually, 7,500 once we did some renovating and bumped out a few things. But people would look at us and, man, you guys live in a mansion. Man, this is beautiful, man, yada, yada, yada. Here's what they didn't know. So we bought that house. Literally, the neighbors were upset at us because we bought it so cheap. Okay? Because the owners just wanted to dump it. And honestly, that house had so many problems. We had raccoons in the attic. Literally raccoons in the attic. Okay? We had to have the insurance to come and just change the whole attic. We had wood floors. Old carpet. We had old this and that. Wendy went in there and she went bonkers and just pretty much just redid the whole house. We sold the house recently. When was it? This year. We sold the house early this year, right? And a lot of people were like, man, why don't you hold on to it? And here's my point. This is why. Because we had gotten the value out of the house. We bought it way below market. We sold it. It over doubled in value. And here's the thing. I learned a long time ago, my mom taught me this, to wear your garments like loose clothes, or rather wear life like a loose garment. Never get attached to things. When the profit was made, we got rid of it. Yeah, and that's my philosophy. Okay? And then you move on to something else. I'm not going to keep it just because I love it. There's nothing I own that I will not get rid of. I learned this as a stockbroker for 12 years. And the one thing I learned as a broker is don't fall in love with the stock. They're not there to be your companion. They're not there to be your lover. They're there to make you money. Okay? So whatever you have, you get the profit out of it and you pull the profit out of it. All right. That was my personal thing. But if you can afford it, is it keeping up appearances or living within your means? Well, that's exactly where I'm going here. Now, if you can afford it, because remember, when we talk about living within your means, me living within my means is different from Bill Gates living within his means. Me living within my means is completely different than Kevin Hart living within his means. Okay? Within his means, what? $1 million, couple $1 million, few $1 million a month? That's within his means. No, that's not within my means. Not in the least bit. Not anywhere. Not close to that. Is it? So it's like being Calvin broke and being Oprah broke. Two different brokes. So if you can afford it, is it keeping up appearances? Well, that's all relative. Okay? It's all relative. You have to determine what you can afford, and you have to determine, what percentage or what part of what you're doing is for your own aggrandizement or is it for, building something? But irrespective of whether other people like it or not, you need to make sure you're building for your future. Jeffrey, at Wendy, one of my sayings is, even if I had it, I still wouldn't buy it. Okay, all right, okay. Interesting. All right. Gerald Dijon, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how, come on, Gerald. Gerald says it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's something to be said. I shared with you last week from the book Millionaire Next Door that I read years ago in the 90s, and they were saying that the average millionaire drives a Ford F-150, and the reason is because they don't show their millions. They're farmers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little different now, but the average millionaires out there, the people who are really doing well, they understand the value of a dollar. They understand the value of making sure that their money speaks and not their appearance speaks. Okay? All right. What are you talking about, Jeff? Jeff, I'm going to get there. I am. Okay. So what does building a future together actually look like as a couple? Building a future together means you both know what you're building. Not one person dragging the other, not two people going in separate directions, but a shared blueprint. You both know where you're going. Building a future together. It's not about having the same personality. It's not having the same risk tolerance. It's about having the same destination. And even you can disagree on the route. That's perfectly okay. You can disagree on the route. You can disagree about the transportation. You can disagree about the direction, but you both have to know the destination. You both have to know where you're going. And my question to you is, in your relationship, do you know your destination? Have you sat down with your spouse or with your significant other and determined where you are going in this marriage? Have you determined what your goal is? Do you know what you're trying to build? And your goal is not, I just want to be happy. That ain't no goal. No. Have you determined where you're going as a couple? What is it you're trying to accomplish? And you cannot be going in the different directions. Okay? Jeffrey asks, is there such a thing as being too frugal? There's such a thing as being too anything. Okay? No. Too frugal. Are you trying to say cheap? Is there such a thing as being too frugal? Yes. There's anytime you put two in front of it, yeah. Frugality is necessary. You ought to be conscious with all your spending. You ought to know what you're spending. You ought to know where it's going. And you ought to know that dollar should have a job. You ought to know what it's supposed to bring back. Okay? Now, am I perfect at this? Absolutely not. I don't think any of us are. However, can you be too frugal? Yes. When your family is suffering because of your frugality, yes, that's too frugal. Yeah. When you're not able to enjoy your money because you're always planning for the future, yes, that's too frugal. Because I'm a firm believer that you work hard, absolutely. You prepare, absolutely. But you also live. The unfortunate and sad thing is that sometimes people work their lives, their whole lives, work hard to make and saving, investing, saving. Don't enjoy nothing. I'm going to just work. And they never get a chance to enjoy it. Yeah, it happens. I knew of a gentleman that I knew. He had spent his whole life working very, very hard. And he wanted to work. And this is a true story. I'm not making this up. He wanted to work and save up for his dream car. So at his retirement, he bought his dream car, which was a BMW or something or other. And he bought that car and he took on a trip to New Jersey from Washington, D.C. Visit some friends, show off his car. He had worked for so many years and he saved up. He just worked, didn't really do anything for himself. This was his first big gift to himself. And when he got to New Jersey, his wife got a call in D.C. He had a heart attack. Never made it home. But he spent all of his life working. Yeah, that happens. So is there such thing as being too frugal? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all about percentages. It's all about putting aside something so you can enjoy the journey. Every journey is boring when you're not looking at the sights. Every journey is boring when you're only looking at the road. You're not looking at all the beauty around you. You're not looking at the mountains and the rivers and the lakes and the people passing by. That's what makes a journey exciting. Jeffrey, okay, when you say your dollar should have a job, are you referring to investments? Yes, I'm referring to investments, but not only investments. I'm referring to what either your dollar should bring you back an increase financially, or it should bring you back something that enhances your life. Okay? If you're throwing it away on casinos, that's garbage. I have another friend who's addicted to gambling. Okay? It's a waste of money. It's a waste. It's a terrible stewardship. And it's a waste of money. Okay? So yes, your dollar should have a job. Either bring you back financial investment, a financial reward, bring back some kind of personal reward that's going to enrich your life, enrich your happiness, or do something that's going to be positive in your life. Okay? Every dollar has to bring back something that's beneficial. Preferentially, it should bring back something that's going to increase. But that's not only financial increase. It can also be increase in enjoyment. It could be increase for your children. It could be increase for education. It could be increase for your health. But every dollar should have a job. Okay? All right, Wendy. Whatever you spend your money on should have a return on investment. For example, if you buy your wife gifts, boy. If you buy your wife gifts because she likes gifts, there will be a great ROI, return on investment. Thank you, honey. Yes, I got the message. I got it clear. Okay. Yes. So even in that could be a great return on investment, right? All right. So those are some of the things. Some of the ways that you should build together. Couples who build together have a different kind of intimacy. They're teammates. They're not just roommates. They fight for the vision. They don't fight about the vision. Okay? So, I want you to hear what I have to say. I wrote down some notes. Okay? A married with a shared vision is hard to break. But a marriage with no vision is already broken. Okay? A marriage with a shared vision is hard to break because you both know the destination. You're both driving towards it. You both know, even though you may have different directions, but you know where you're going, right? So a marriage with a shared vision is hard to break, but a marriage with no vision, it's already broken. You just haven't filed the paperwork yet. Yeah. And this is where people get frustrated and frustrate me because they say, "Oh, our marriage is going nowhere." No, it's not going anywhere because you didn't set it on a course to go anywhere. You didn't set it on a course to go anywhere. And a lot of people just get married and just go. Okay, where are you going, man? What is your destination? Thank you, Capri. What is your destination? As a couple, and I don't care what it is, you decide what it is. Wendy and I, we have a destination. This app is a part of our destination. This app is one of the vehicles. This is a pit stop on the way to our destination. It's a part of our destination. We're going to help couples. This is a part of our destination. What is your destination? What are you doing? Okay, some of you I know, Lynn, I know what you're doing. You're out there making things happen. You and your husband have joined. What are you doing? Because I'm here to tell you that when you create a vision for your family, a vision for your marriage, and you have a shared vision for your marriage, you can be unbreakable. But with no vision, you are already broken. Create a vision for your marriage. Wendy's asking, how do you create a vision for your marriage if you've already been married a long time? It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference how long you've been married. It really doesn't. And if you've never done it before, it's like I said last week. When is the best time to build a tree to enjoy its shade? 20 years ago, because the tree would be big enough now for you to enjoy the shade. When is the second best time to plant that tree? Right now. So even if you've been married for 40 years, plant that tree right now. You might only have another 10, 15 years left on this earth. Doggone it, you better make them good. Okay? Build something now. If you've been married for 40 years, 30 years successfully, do you realize the kind of emotional and intellectual capital you guys have as a couple and what you can actually do to create just a legacy for other people who want to make it as far as you've made it? You have value right there in your marriage. You have value. You have wealth. Some of you have just all kinds of ideas and all kinds of wealth and all kinds of success that you've created in your marriage, and you're not letting anybody know about it. You have not organized it and created a vision for your marriage. Okay? This is not about keeping up appearances. I don't give two farts about what other people think. I do care about what my wife and I think, what we think about each other, and I want us to look good for each other. I want us to make sure we're both happy. Yeah, I don't care if other people look good. They look good. I think, it makes it difference because we got a brand and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, look, if my marriage is falling apart, I don't give a poot about what anybody else thinks. All right. I got to bring it to a close now because we're way beyond our time. So that's it. So what I want you to do is your homework. I want you to sit down with your significant other and figure out what your destination is. Okay? Figure out what your destination is. Not in relation to what other people think, not in relation to what looks good to other folk. No, what is your destination as a couple? And I want you to start plotting a way to get there. Oh, it's going to cause arguments. You won't agree on a lot of stuff. But find out what can you guys accomplish together and get out there and knock the ball out the freaking park. All right? We're done. God bless you guys. This was really good. I hope you got it. I hope this was good for you. I hope you understood it. And the thing is, you got this for free. All right? Not for long. I keep saying that, but trust me when I say it's going to happen. All right? All right. And when we turn on the paywall and you got to pay your monthly subscription, I want you to do it. Don't even think about it. It's going to be peanuts. All right? All right. God bless you guys. Yes, go get the book. Yes, order it wherever books are sold. Amazon, Books A Million, wherever. Barnes & Noble. The book is out there. Okay? Great. Awesome. Thank you, Capri. Looking forward to it. God bless you guys. We will see you next week.